Why Yoann? What was it about him that got him to ultimately come to St. Louis?
Yeah, I think when we started the process, we laid out some pretty clear criteria. Most importantly, given the time frame, we were looking for someone with MLS experience. I think that's going to kind of lead us in the right direction moving forward to make some quick changes. The second was just in terms of his experience working with top coaches. I think when things are going well and when things are going poorly, you want to be able to default to like a set level of understanding of how to do things, and I think that really lends itself well for Yoann, who was learning and experienced two coaches that I hold in very high regards, and two coaches that I know very well, and Greg Vanney and also Wilfried Nancy. So when we looked at that, combined with his experience in a championship winning organization, I think those were really important differentiators for him. But originally, I tried to map out for a filter for a short list, how the person is, and no one would go past that first round if they're not a great person. I think that's hard to know in our business, but important for me day to day. How they fit into our club, very crucial in terms of the vision that ownership and then Diego and myself have for us in the short term and long term. And then how they are as a coach, the typical tactics, X's and O's. Are they a modern thinker? Do they incorporate, data into their decision making? How do they communicate with players? How clear is their vision? So that was where I kind of created the list. And, if you go through that, it was very clear that Yoann would be a top candidate from the start of our process.
You know Yoann pretty well. There's maybe a lot of City fans out there that don't necessarily know him very well. What are you hoping fans take away from not only his introductory press conference, not only his past, but the type of guy that is going to be on the sidelines here at Energizer Park in the future?
Yeah, look, some of the things I know because I worked with him, but actually some of the additional feedback outside when you start to talk to people that know him is, look, like I'm going to have to pull him off the field, take him out of his office, get him, to take a step back at times because he's an extremely hard worker and he's very dedicated to his craft. And I think that is something exciting for fans that aligns with the way I see things. It's a full-time job trying to create successful organizations. And while we do have our time away for sure, I think you can, and the fans can rest assured that you have two people now that will not stop until we get this right. And I think that's very important. The other things for him, he's very warm, he's relatable, he's a very clear communicator, and I think that he's very ambitious and driven to be successful, and I think you need that when you're trying to create that alignment for a successful organization.
What was the last month and some change like for you, as not only you hit the ground running, but you have to get a new coach in here, you have to look at roster, and training camp and the beginning of the season really isn't too far away when the turn of the calendar year?
Yeah, frankly, it's been a lot, but I think it's been very important for me to drown out, eliminate the noise that you could potentially fall victim to when you have so many things to do. I think clearly the most important thing when I came in was to get an understanding from ownership of how we want to move forward. And those meetings and discussions helped me then define the profile with Diego in terms of what the coaching candidates could look like, which then will help us define our player profiles, which then will help us move forward with, I think, a clear vision of how we can compete in the short term and then also in the long term. So it's probably easy to get distracted, but I was very aware that with the noise, you need to take it step by step. I hope the fans appreciate that we're not trying to rush anything, because we don't want to be in this position next year where we don't have a clear vision for the players. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing on the field, and so it was very important to take it step by step. And granted, I don't think it took too long either. We were very calculated in terms of how we moved through the process, but we did make sure that the process was a really strong one, and I'm very proud of that as well.
Maybe the elephant in the room for a lot of fans is a name they know really well in David Critchley. It sounds like he is going to be retained and staying on the All for City staff. Why was it important to you to keep Critch around, and what kind of asset does he bring to an organization, even if he's not the head coach?
Yeah, I think everybody got to know and love him, and so, in my discussions when I got here, you get to know the person, and also you hear the feedback from the staff and the players. He created a really great environment. He created a newfound kind of desire to be competitive in everything they do. And I think, having that type of person in the organization would be very valuable no matter what. The thing that we're hoping for is that he would like to continue his coaching journey, and one day, could be a potential first team coach here or anywhere because of the things that he's learned and also the things that he's willing to do to get better. So we are hopeful that we can come to some agreement with that, but at the end of the day, it will be up to him to decide what's best for him.
When you look at the to-do list, I think from the outside looking in, to-do list number one, hire a new head coach. Yep. What's next on the to-do list for you as we look into 2026?
Yeah, move my family here. I think that is probably most important. So while all this is also going on, we've been kind of engaging in a huge move from Montreal to here. So maybe not so much on the sporting side, but on the life side, it's crucial that I get that right. So they'll be here. We'll pack everything up as a group and drive down in the start of January. So we'll get that going, but clearly we need to improve in a lot of our processes. We need to add experts in a lot of the sporting areas, so I'll continue to develop that out with staff. And then we need to get the right players in here to help us be competitive when the season starts.
All right, well, Corey, Wray, thanks for joining us today, and happy holidays.
Yeah, thanks so much.